And we are live. Mile high hello, everybody in Broncos country. Welcome into another episode of the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. It looks like John Cronenberg at John K MHH giving us the thumbs up. We've got the Superfan group on Facebook joining the stream as well. Mile high hello, everybody. Welcome into the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. I'm your host, Lance Sanderson, and joining me as per usual is Mile High Huddle senior NFL draft analyst, my good friend and colleague, the one and only Erick Trickel. Erick, free agency, man. Lots of stuff is going on. I mean, we're going to break down Justin Simmons. We've got Shelby Harris. How we doing?
Dude, I am so glad this week has ended, or is about to end, because this week has been a terrible week. Anytime your week starts with getting involved in a hit-and-run accident, you know it's going to be a terrible week. It just is. Fortunately, everybody in my family's okay, and all it was they just backed up into us, and then they decided to take off, so we had to sit there and wait outside the freaking parking lot for an hour almost, waiting for police to show up so they can start, it was so terrible, and then it just gone downhill from there and everything. Free agency's been a little bit of an ease on it and everything, which is thankful. It's always nice to use football to get away from real world stuff a little bit, but yeah, man, I'm just so glad this week is over.
I feel you, man. I feel you. It's been a long one for me. Caven is doing really good. Our 7-month-old child, he's doing really good now. Got some teeth coming in. He's got one poking through all the way now, and it's been miserable for the last about 3 or 4 days. He is teething incredibly hard right now. So I have gotten probably about 6 hours of sleep in the last 3 days. So yeah, it's been not very fun. However, we're here to talk some football, guys. A lot of stuff is going on. But before we get into any of that, guys, got to say hello and thank you to our presenting sponsor, Manscaped, guys. 2021 well underway. Looks like things are starting to open up again. And as it's opening up, it's time for you to get back on your game and make sure that you're looking good and clean and prepared, well groomed for the ladies. If you're going out to the bar, maybe for your wife as well, if you want to go out on a dinner date. And Manscaped's here for you guys. They have precision engineered tools for below the waist grooming. They won't nick your skin. Everything about them is great. It's not only the Lawnmower 3.0, they've got the Weed Whacker. They've got a whole bunch of different stuff. Erick, what do you got for us today?
Well, I don't have the Weed Whacker with me, which is really nice. It's really simple to use. It's got that extra light on it, so you can have extra light down there when you're using it and everything, and because you don't want to clip anything. But I do have the Shed is what it's called, and it's just a nice little travel bag. If you do a lot of traveling and need a bag for all your toiletries and everything like that, this is actually really nice. It's leather. It's nice and soft, and like that leather soft, I guess would be the best way to put it. It's got plenty of size, got extra pockets, and it's really good to fit everything in. And Manscaped has just a bunch of different products that are just nice to have and nice to use around to help keep yourself cleaned up and fresh and smelling good and all that jazz.
Yeah, man. I actually just went on the other day. I got my tax return and went out and got some Dr. Squatch soap, but also I went and got that Shed, the performance bundle with the lawnmower, with the Weed Whacker, the toner and everything like that. I've also got the Shears 2.0 kit. This is their fingernail clipper kit. I've got the cologne here as well. They've got the crop mops, which are great for just making sure that everything's balanced down there, nice and clean, smelling fine. It's great, guys. And I went to manscaped.com, use the promo code HUDDLE, and it's not a lie, guys. 20% off and free shipping on everything that you want at manscaped.com if you go there and use the promo code HUDDLE. Now, guys, get out there, get your boys right, and get yourself looking good for your lady friends. And if you need to find a new lady friend, this is going to help you out there as well. Now, guys, again, manscaped.com, promo code HUDDLE. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Your boys, they're going to thank you, and so is your wife. Now, the big news of the day, Erick, we've actually gotten kind of lucky over the last few weeks here about getting some news. We got the Von Miller, the investigation going into him, the fact that they weren't going to bring some charges. And today, guys, the Broncos extended out and made Justin Simmons the highest paid safety in the NFL history. 4 years, $61 million deal. That's an average of $15.25 million per year, $35 million guaranteed. Erick, what is your instant and gut reaction to this deal?
I mean, obviously, I really like it. I mean, you get this great safety locked up long term, which is something that you needed to do. You didn't want him playing out yet another season on the franchise tag. And I like that they were aggressive about getting it done. They didn't just completely push it off to the side until after the draft and go up until the deadline. It was definitely a focus of George Paton, which was nice to see after John Elway just kind of pitter-pattering around it last year. And it's a focus. It's a nice change of direction and the culture of this. In his press conference, Shelby Harris talked about it a little bit, that guys are starting to talk inside the locker room about more of them getting second contracts with the team and not just playing out rookie contracts, getting let go, and then them bringing in other free agents. I think this is a big deal for it. It's a nice change from what we had with John Elway, and it's going to be interesting to see how things continue going forward with that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not only the Justin Simmons deal, it's the Shelby Harris deal here as well. And we'll get into that here in just a few minutes because I want to kind of elaborate on that. Again, getting Justin Simmons to that second contract, a guy that's a draft and develop, that's exactly what George Paton wanted to do when he came in. And that was what he said in his opening press conference was he wanted to draft and develop guys and then get those guys into those second contracts. Now, with Justin Simmons, it's not only the play on the field here, guys. This guy is a tremendous human being on and off the field. He's a leader in the locker room, but he is always out in the community doing charity work. He's always out trying to do some community service. Was a big and vocal voice down in Florida with some social justice reform that was going on down there and some marches and stuff like that. This guy is just an amazing leader, not only for his teammates and his friends in the locker room, but also in the community. These are the kind of guys that you want to see your team bring back. I mean, if the Broncos did let Justin Simmons move on out of here, what kind of message does that send to the rest of your locker room and to the rest of the players on that team? It's just not something that you want to have happen. So to see this get done, and like you said, as aggressively as it has happened, we're day 2 now of the official opening of free agency, day 2, to get this deal done well before the draft, lock it down. This is tremendous. And applause, a full round of applause to George Paton for coming in here and setting the tone.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, today is just filled with news. I mean, because we also have Brandon McManus and Mike Purcell. They've restructured their contracts to give the Broncos a little bit more cap room to play with this year. We have breakdowns of Shelby Harris and Ronald Darby's deals, which is absolutely fantastic. Both deals are 3 years, but really they're 2 years and a maybe with your 3. And their cap hits this year are $4 million each. A $1 million base with the $3 million prorated signing bonus because they both got $9 million of a signing bonus prorated over 3 years. 9 divided by 3. Yeah, you get it. So it's just nice to see. I love how George Paton's doing it. I love the structure of these contracts, especially in a down year with cap. They're being aggressive. They're showing that they want to really improve this team and just make the needed steps so they can sit there and really focus on drafting and developing. That's what he wants to do. So they're being smart with their money. They're protecting the team. And they're enabling them to go and focus on the draft with finishing building their team, getting future guys. But also, one thing that really speaks to me is with what we've seen George Paton do, if anybody says that Vic Fangio is for sure gone after this year, they're wrong. Like, I'm not saying Vic Fangio will be back beyond this year, but it is definitely showing that they are doing everything they can to make sure Vic Fangio is successful and continue to be the head coach for the Denver Broncos. We'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure that there's a stipulation on there like, hey, you've got to go at least 8-8 or make a run for the playoffs, some kind of stipulation there. But yeah, they're doing what they can to make Vic Fangio successful. They're finding guys that fit his scheme. They're finding guys that he wants on his defense. So big things. And I like the fact that George Paton's not completely alienating his head coach, no matter what issues that he may have.
Well, why would you? I mean, we've heard it over and over and over again over last year, with Drew Lock and not having any continuity and everything like that. So you're going to go into this year and you want Vic Fangio to be fired at the end of this year? Like, why would you want to hamper your head coach and his ability to correct the ship and get everything righted? And like, you've got to have some kind of continuity. Like, it's not a feasible thing if you're going to do that. And like bring in players that don't fit the scheme. And they're like, if you're telegraphing that you want your head coach to be fired, you're not going to have any kind of success. And that's, again, we're in free agency here, guys. Do free agents want to go to a place where there's a complete and total turmoil, like for years and years and years? Not really. I mean, unless the Broncos can figure out a way to throw a whole bunch of money at, but with the ownership situation that they have right now, they're not actually able to do that anyways. So it's a breath of fresh air, and George Paton is coming in and he's lived up to exactly what he wanted to do in the draft. Every move that we've seen so far has been pretty well telegraphed. With them going out and getting a cornerback, they went out and tried to get another cornerback. There's some rumors about Kyle Fuller floating around out there. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes. They brought back Justin Simmons, which was high priority number 1. They brought back Von Miller, priority number 2, and they brought back Shelby Harris, priority number 3. He's hit every single one of those moves, and he said that he was going to do that back in January when he did his introductory press conference. So if you're disappointed with what's going on with what the Broncos are doing right now, sit back and relax just a little bit, because there's still some more moves coming up the pike right now. Like they're again, Kyle Fuller, Akeem Hicks could potentially be something the Broncos want to go and look at. They could potentially even go and get into I had a name there too, and I lost it. Another defensive player is a linebacker. I can't remember his name. There's still some moves that the Broncos can still go and get. So just have a little bit of patience, and let's see how this weekend kind of unfolds before we really start making those snap decisions. Now, guys,
real quick before we get going, I want to sit there and remind everybody for the super chats and everything. We forgot to do this a little bit earlier. This is your last week to enter in a super chat, the super chat superstar mock draft raffle.
Yes,
I can never remember what we're calling it, but anybody who super chats this week and with last week will be included as well. You guys get a chance to win a chance to join us for a mock draft where you guys get to be the general manager. We'll be your scouting department, much like we did with Mohamed Badri a couple weeks ago. And you guys will join us. What we're looking for is next Friday for that. So you guys would need to hopefully be able to be available. If not, would have to go somewhere else. And for any time you super chat, you get a donation. Anything over, like if you enter like $6, you'll get 2, because it's every $5 you get an extra chance to win. So kind of $5.01, $10.01, so on and so forth. You get an extra chance. So something to keep in mind there as well. This is what we're going to be doing for tonight. And we're going to be, after this set, we're going to do one more before the draft. So if you miss out this time, you guys will have one more chance before the draft to get a chance to join us. Now, we do have a bunch of super chats here, and since I mentioned Mohamed Badri, why don't we go ahead and pull that up, John? With Mohamed Badri came in with a $3 donation with his little sticker saying, "How's it going?" It's going good, Mohamed. I hope everything's going good with you, man. Again, man, it was a great time having you on the show a couple weeks ago. And I want to say, man, with how free agency's played out, that mock draft you put together is in the realm of possibility. Rashawn Slater at number 9 was the first overall pick. Denver's done well addressing their needs, so they still need an offensive tackle. So that can still be in play.
Yes, it can. And again, Mohamed, thanks for jumping in here. He is the king of the super stickers. I'm going to get that hashtag trending. I'm telling you. We've got a couple more here, and I want to grab one. Speaking of the $5 increments, we've got Jake King jumping in here with the $10 super chat. After Kareem Jackson has been released, do you think we will replace him via the draft or via free agency? Now, we actually had some news come in right before we went live. Anthony Harris, the Minnesota Vikings free safety, just inked a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Anthony Harris was on the franchise tag last year, and they decided to let him walk. So for him to go out and sign a bargain deal kind of like that for one of the top free safeties in the league, Kareem Jackson, there's a potential possibility that he could be coming back if they could get a deal similarly to that. However, I do believe that in this rich safety class the Broncos have in the NFL draft, the Broncos are definitely going to bring in a draft option. But it wouldn't surprise me to see Kareem Jackson back. Eric, would you?
I mean, George Paton, he made it clear that the door is not shut on a Kareem Jackson return. Yeah. The safety market has been basically dead. And then seeing one of the top guys available, Anthony Harris, sign a 1-year, $5 million deal. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a little bit of regret there from Kareem Jackson for not taking a restructure from the Broncos that they were offering, because now he's got to go fight on a poor free agent market to try to match that $1 million or that $5 million for 1 year. And I don't think that he will with his age and everything. So it's still a possibility that he comes back. Now, there was one more, John, if you want to pull up John Houston's super chat real quick. He said John Houston came with the $1.99 donation. We appreciate that, John. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, we're not going to be talking about him tonight with everything that's going on. We're just going to avoid that subject for now while things just hopefully become clear over the next few weeks or however long it takes. So guys, if you super chat with Watson, we appreciate the super chats. We're just not going to be talking about him a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting situations that don't want to put any speculation out there. If you're not aware of what's going on, Google it. You can find out anything you want to know about the situation and everything that's going on with Deshaun Watson. So to me, we'll just kind of avoid that topic. Now, Oscar jumping in here with the $5 super. Once Kyle Fuller is officially released, what does his market value look like? Eric?
Real quick, too, I want to say, Jake, thank you for the super chat. Like, we really appreciate that. And I think you're our first time super chatter, man. Like, it's great to see you in the show, and it's great to see you throwing your support behind us a little bit.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Once Kyle Fuller is officially released, which there's been a little bit of issues there because it was reported that he was going to be released yesterday. They didn't get it out on the waiver on the transaction wire on time, so he wasn't. People assumed that it was going to happen today. Now, every day transactions have to be processed by the NFL offices by 4 p.m. Eastern, and if they're not, then they don't actually happen. Well, he wasn't on the transition wire again today, so he is still under contract with the Chicago Bears. They're trying to trade him. There's plenty of teams interested. I've heard upwards of like 9-10 teams that are really eyeing him. And I think the issue is that it's a 1-year, $14 million deal that they'd have to take. Whoever trades for him with, Chicago will eat some dead money, and his contract automatically voids on February 15th next year. So they'd have to redo a contract, and it's just like, do you want to give up draft capital, still work through a restructure or a working on a new deal, or possibly pay him that? Like, that's kind of seems to be the rough point, as well as determining his value, because everybody knows that Chicago's wanting to cut bait with him. So it's a little bit rough. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's a lot of teams that don't want to give him the $14 million for the year. He's got like a $13 million base salary and then 2 $500,000 bonuses that a new team would have to take on. That's 14. And it's just, I just don't see it.
To me, I mean, if you're going to trade for him, you're probably giving up a day 3 pick. Maybe at the highest, you could see like a tail end of the 3rd round if that's what you're going to do, just based on that cap hit alone and the fact that he's 29, I think is what you said. So he's up there in age and slowing down just a little bit. But to me, Kyle Fuller makes so much sense for the Broncos. I think everybody's kind of agreed with this one. His best season, 2018, was under Vic Fangio's tutelage when Fangio was with the Chicago Bears. Kyle Fuller had 7 interceptions, 21 passes defense, led the league in both of those statistical categories, which is something that the Broncos desperately need to have on this roster right now. They had, I'm not sure if it was the fewest takeaways, but among the fewest. I know the Broncos had the worst turnover differential in the NFL last year, and not taking the football away is almost as bad as turning it over. So you got to go out there and go create those turnovers and takeaways. And if Kyle Fuller is going to be able to come in and play under Vic Fangio's scheme and still have that ability to take the football away and get his hands on some balls and knock some passes down and stuff like that, to me, $8 to $10 million. Honestly, if you went with the Ronald Darby contract and just kind of duplicated that, Eric, you've actually talked to me about that. Yep, copy paste, slap it that one exactly directly back down onto Kyle Fuller, and to me, I'm pretty happy with that one. I said Eric actually asked the other day in our group chat what I would give for Kyle Fuller if he came available. I didn't respond, but my original thought was 10 to 12. But then kind of doing a little bit more thinking, 8 to 10 sounds just about right. Another super jumping in here, Malcolm Brown up in Homer, Alaska. Do you see any Willis McGahee type talents that will garner an early pick, even though they have to be medically redshirted? Eric, I'm going to throw this one over to you.
No, because I think I'm trying to think. No one that I can think of that's like that caliber of a player. A lot of players who are banged up, they just decided once they started getting banged up, a lot of them just decided to opt out. I mean, there were some big injuries. I know Landon Dickerson had his, Jalen Waddle, but he seems to be good to go already. So no, I'm not seeing anybody really that's worth that garners a early pick, even though they'll have to be medically redshirted. And there was a comment real quick. I want to address this. We were talking about it before we went live, and it was about where the Broncos stand with their salary cap. Right now, by my math, they said at $27.33 million, basically. That's counting Michael Boone. Right?
Yeah, Mike Boone, the running guy from Minnesota.
Yeah, that's counting that. But we don't know what's really going to be at with Justin Simmons' extension, his new deal done, because most of the time when you sign a player that's on the franchise tag, your first year of that is a lot lower than the franchise tag. You give them a pretty sizable signing bonus, spread it out over the remaining. So I haven't seen the breakdown of that yet. If we get it while we are live, I'll definitely talk about it. I'm keeping an eye out. I'm keeping refreshing Twitter. But yeah, right now we just don't know what his cap hit will be. But my assumption would be we're probably looking at somewhere around like 32, 33 million once we get the details of that.
Yeah. So Robert actually jumping in here. Robert Castle. What's up, Robert? Thanks for joining the show as always. A stupid question. Justin Simmons is a $4 million cap hit. So kind of like what Eric was just talking about there. What teams will do is they'll front load a signing bonus and say, all right, so Justin, we're going to give you your first year contract as a signing bonus and drop your base salary down to like $750,000. Well, at $15.25 million APY on a signing bonus, if that's what the Broncos so choose to do over 4 years, you're talking just shy of $4 million a year prorated out on all 4 of those years. So Justin Simmons' cap hit at that particular point would be $4.75 million. It all depends on what the base salary is for his first year cap hit, and then the signing bonus on that as well. And if there's any roster bonuses or anything like that, workout bonuses, which I don't imagine there's probably going to be anything like that based on what we've seen with George Paton and the deals that he has done so far. It's all been pretty cut and dry. Signing bonus lower that first year salary and then prorate everything out over the course of the deal. So that is why you would see Justin Simmons potentially as a $4 million cap hit, exactly like with Shelby Harris. Let's move this conversation forward here. Shelby Harris, we all already know, 3 years, $27 million, $15 million guaranteed. Shout out to James Campbell for calling all of those details, by the way. $9 million on an average per year basis, which to me is a little bit high. I thought he was probably going to get somewhere in the 7 to 8. So 9. I mean, I appreciate the overpay to do him right and to get him under contract after all the work that he's put in. And man, you should have heard him in his press conference in his opening statement. He was brought to tears about how much this meant to him and his family. Said multiple times, thank you to the organization, thank you to the fan base for being massive supporters of him. He is incredibly thankful for the opportunity to come back on this long-term deal and make money to secure for his 3 kids, I believe he has, his wife, and for the rest of their lives. They'll never have to worry about any of the struggles that he has ever went through in his life. So again, though, this is the same thing. $1 million base salary, that $9 million signing bonus that he signed or that he got at the signing of the contract, prorate that out, $3 million a year. His first year cap hit, $4 million. Now, Eric, what else does Shelby Harris bring to this team?
I mean, it just all starts off as anytime you disrupt the passing game, it's production, and his ability to bat balls at the line. Like, while his sack numbers may not always be the greatest, his ability to do that is impacting the passing game. My biggest thing is I love how much he's grown in this defense from 2019 to 2020. That was a big step forward from him, and I don't think people realize it because he still had put up some pretty decent numbers, but he was a lot more consistent, especially against the run, and he was just a lot more of a force on the defensive line this year than he was in 2019. Granted, playing him out of position as a nose tackle was a bit rough for the first 4 weeks of 2019, but it was a really nice step forward. I'm super happy for him, even though he doesn't like me because I once wrote an article about how bad he was at run defense. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. I mean, the dude deserved it. He worked his butt off. He made drastic improvements in certain key areas, and it's just great. And since we keep getting a lot about it, so I'm just going to move us on to Philip Lindsay real quick. And I understand that it sucks that they rescinded the tag on him, but Philip Lindsay's been declining since his rookie year. And before you freak out and say, no, he hasn't, he still put up big numbers. That's true, but he was a lot less efficient. Now, in his rookie year, he ran for 3 yards or less on only 51% of his carries. In 2019, that rose to 53. In 2020, it was 61%. And this is when the offensive line was actually improving. So it's kind of rough when 61% of your runs are going for 3 yards or less in the year you're becoming a free agent. That's really rough. And if you look at it in terms of 0 or negative yards, 19 in 2018, 16 in 2019, so we got a little bit better there. 25%, a quarter of his runs in 2020 went for no yards or less or negative yards. That is not great. It was easy to predict what he was going to do because while he would try as a pass blocker, he wasn't good enough there. His size was just an issue. Mm-hmm. He had 59% of his carries came on first down in the last 2 years, so it's not just a Pat Shurmur issue. It's been a big issue since he came in. He's just used on first and second down because he's not a true 3-down threat because he doesn't have the receiving ability. He doesn't have the blocking ability. So I wish nothing but Philip Lindsay the best in Houston. He signed a 1-year, $3.25 million deal. I wish nothing the best. I hope he goes out there and I hope he balls out. But I mean, I think it was the better move for Denver to let him go instead of keep retaining him, especially with I don't want to say issues because that makes it seem like it was worse than it was, but he really wanted a big deal and he wasn't happy they went out and got Melvin Gordon, despite Melvin Gordon being the better back last year. So I wish nothing but Philip Lindsay the best. He was super exciting to watch. And my favorite play involving Philip Lindsay was Dalton Reisner's Lindsay toss for the touchdown.
It really bulldogged him into the end zone. Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. Going back to that 1 year, $3.25 million. That's about what the second round tender would have been if the Broncos would have extended the second round tender. So he pretty much went out and got what everybody wanted him to be able to get. But again, here's another thing that I want to throw out there. I wrote an article about Philip Lindsay last year after the Austin Eckler deal got signed, and Austin Eckler signed on for I think it was $4.5 million on an average per year basis over a 4-year contract. And I was like, there's no way that Philip Lindsay is going to be able to get that money because Austin Eckler had a 95 catch season over 1,000 yards and rushed for 600 yards as well. Like Austin Eckler is much better as far as a receiving threat coming out. And I got torched for that. So to see him go out and get $3.25 million from another team, not necessarily feeling vindicated. I'm happy for Phil. Don't get me wrong. Love the guy, love the burst, love the vision. I love what he brings to a team. The fire, the mentality that he has is everyone went over the top of him and everyone, that I'm the undrafted guy and I'm going to come out here and be the first undrafted rookie free agent to rush for 1,000 yards in a single season ever, like in my rookie season ever. Like it's great. I love the story, love the guy, love the player. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's going to be able to go down to Houston and have a rotational backup role behind Mark Ingram and be able to potentially be used in a better system that's going to fit his skill set a little bit better. I think they use some more outside zone down that way. I really would have loved to see him in San Francisco or in New York because
I would have loved to see him in Arizona. Him and Kyler Murray together would have been so exciting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it would be. I mean, you have guys who are like 5'4" each. Like they're going to be so hard to see. Obviously, that's a little bit of a joke. I mean, 5'8" and 5'9". I'm pretty sure Philip Lindsay's taller than Kyler Murray, but it would have been fun to see. I really would have liked that. I think that he would fit in well with that. Cliff Kingsbury, he really likes to spread him out, and that's what Philip Lindsay can thrive in, spreading out the defense and letting him just use his burst and his vision to make some big plays. We'll see what happens in Houston. I wish him nothing but the best, but I think it was the right move for Denver to move on, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say hello to some more of these people here in the chat. Rob Williams coming in here on Facebook, one of our Facebook users. What's up, dude? What are your thoughts on running back Kylan Hill in the later rounds? Love this guy. I really do. Good vision, good burst downhill. I like his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Probably needs to work on his route running a little bit, but there's something to work with there. I'm not necessarily sure about later rounds. There might be a potential possibility you could get him on in day 2, though. Honestly, he might be a tail end of the 3rd round pick.
So since running backs have been brought up, this is going to be a time to quickly plug it. So on Saturdays, I now have a new show. It's called the Trickel Zone. It's at 12 Mountain Time every Saturday for Facebook subscribers. This is a good time for you on YouTube or on Facebook. If you're not a subscriber or a supporter already on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/MaliHuddle and become a supporter. It's a little blue button on there. It's like $5 a month and everything. Just helps support the site and helps support us a little bit more. And you get access to premium content that doesn't show up anywhere, like the Trickle Zone, like Kelberman's Corner. Well, tomorrow, guys, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 running backs. You guys can go back and watch if you subscribe, you can go back and watch my video on the top 10 linebackers from last week. Up until the draft, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 or top 10, depending on the positions. And every Saturday at 12 Mountain, I'm going to be talking about running backs at that point tomorrow. And Kylan Hill, he's in my top 10. So I don't think that we'll be looking at him in the later rounds.
No, I don't think so either. Juan Romero coming in here on YouTube. How much is Mike Boone's cap hit? You know what? While we're doing the free agency discussion here, Mike Boone signed. This is the perfect Philip Lindsay replacement because he's a little bit better, as in pass protection, a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, better route runner, better receiver out of the backfield. 2 years, $3.85 million deal, $2.6 million guaranteed, and signed a $1.6 million signing bonus. So that's going to prorate to $800,000. His base salary this year is $1 million plus that $800,000 cap hit. for the signing bonus. $1.8 million is what Mike Boone is going to go against the cap, which is less than what Philip Lindsay would have earned on the original round restricted free agent tender. So there's just a little bit of something for that. Mundungus, what's up, dude? Jumping in here. I still think of it as the T. Trickel report. Not the Trickel report. That's pretty good. Glenn jumping in here on Super Chat. What's up, Glenn? Glad to have you in the show again. If Fuller comes on board, where do you see number 9 going? Hashtag Lance's shirt fun. Hashtag love hearing your draft expertise. Erick, I'm going to have to call on you on this one. Where do you think number 9 is going to go if Kyle Fuller comes on board?
To another team.
Yes.
I don't think Denver will be picking at 9. With what they've been doing and building so far this offseason, it's giving me a little bit of feeling that they are looking at moving up for a quarterback a little bit more than media is kind of suggesting it might be. And not saying they will, not saying they are. It just how it speaks to me is that they're looking at it a little bit more. George Paton, he's doing a lot of work on these quarterbacks a little bit, so it's definitely a possibility. Doesn't mean that's what they go. If they don't trade up for a quarterback, I think they'd move down. I don't think they'll be picking at 9. I think they'll be going to another team. The Minnesota Vikings, actually, they have the most draft picks in this year's draft with 11. Yep. Now, why is that relevant? Because in the counting this year, 2019 and 2020, they'll have had 38 draft picks, and that's what George Paton is coming from. He's coming from a team that really values draft picks and building through the draft. So I think that if they don't move up for a quarterback, that they're going to move down and try to stockpile picks over this year and next year. And I could see them doing it a couple times, really pushing picks back for next year if they keep continuing to build the team as they are. And so, yeah, I don't think they'll be picking at 9. And that actually takes us to another super chat from Mr. Boggins with $4.99. And he says, if we get Fuller, does Parsons come back on your radar despite the off-field issues, or stick with the safe choice of Slater or trading back? Well, as I just said, I think it's trading back. And I think that Micah Parsons can fall a little bit. And it's not so much, I think that we've kind of gotten lost a little bit on this. It's not so much the off-field issues with the possible legal stuff with Penn State. That's the big issue to me. It's what Bucky Brooks, who's known him forever, said about him. And I actually have the statement here. And if you guys actually watched the Trickel Zone, you guys would have heard me talk about this a little bit more. But Bucky Brooks said, the only thing that ever scares me about Micah Parsons is I could say the level of immaturity. And so some of the inconsistencies is due to the immaturity. And I just don't know if that light comes on as a pro. And so when I think of a top 10 pick and us talking about checking off all the boxes, I think you have to examine the football character and just make sure, particularly given, and Bucky Brooks clarifies he doesn't want to put this on Micah Parsons, given the Dwayne Haskins situation in Washington and how that played out, you just want to make sure that the guy you're bringing in is going to play to the standard because he gets to the game and is ready to play to that standard instead of being distracted by life. Now, Bucky Brooks has known Micah Parsons and his family for a long time. That is more bothersome to me than the legal stuff that seems to it seems to be kind of played out by now. Doesn't seem like anything is going to happen unless more evidence comes or something. But those comments concern me a lot more. His issues in coverage concern me. And I just don't know if he's worth the top 10 pick. So I don't think they'd pick there. I could see them moving back and trying to pick him up, or moving back to the end of the first round and looking like a Baron Browning or maybe a Jabril Cox, depending on how they view him. Finding a guy like that. But it's just to answer the first part of it, he's on my radar. It's just I'm just kind of iffy on him because of those Bucky Books comments. And then Richie Rich, I'm not doing that. Appreciate the donation. I'm not doing it because I would probably say something that will get me in trouble.
Mock draft raffle. There, I got it for you. Great show. Thanks, Rich. We appreciate you for joining in. Canada, the CA. I always want to say California. Canada is up north of the 49th parallel. I always want to say that. Ty Waichuna is coming in here. I hope we draft a good linebacker in the draft that's fast and hits hard, or even a safety that's a hybrid like Richie Grant, my guy. Not necessarily he's more nickel hybrid than linebacker hybrid. Honestly, he's going to be nickel cornerback, 2 deep safety kind of a guy. I love the range, love the aggressiveness. Sometimes he gets himself out of position because he is a little bit over aggressive. Sometimes where he reacts just a little bit too slow, in my opinion, but he's got enough closing speed that he can actually drive on the ball. He'll miss some tackles just because he has bad angular attack. But at the same time, Richie Grant, we stand Grant in this household. Okay.
But
we stand Grant. I don't care if he's 25 years old or not. He's a safety. You'll get him for 5 or 6. You'll get him for at least 5 or 6 years. If you can get him at 40, then why not? If you can get him at 71, that's even better. I mean, I love this guy.
I'm not sure I would take him at 40.
I would take him at 40 in a heartbeat. And you already know this. Everybody should know this by now. Richie Grant is my guy. He's been my guy since January of last year. Let's be real here. I love this guy.
There's the thing of what would you do for a Klondike bar? What would you do for Richie Grant?
I'm not sure that that's actually PG enough for us to discuss on this show.
Real quick, I want to grab this comment just because it cracked me up. Glenn Hauser said, "One less Christmas card from the Parsons family." Like, that's gotta be true. Like, there's no way Bucky Brooks can talk about that and not get in trouble with the family.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. Like, we need to go to I'm just playing. Rod the Bro jumping in here with the $5 super. If Peyton gets Kyle Fuller with the cornerbacks we have, he's the real MVP, LOL. And it seems to me that we're moving up to get a quarterback in the draft. I'm all for it. I mean, well, with what George Paton said, what was he, yesterday, I believe, was his press conference, and he was directly asked if quarterback was an option at number 9, and he said, yes, quarterback is an option at number 9. And he says that he's going to go out and go look at a whole bunch of different players, but obviously the quarterback position is going to be there. Most general managers want to see the quarterback position in person. They want to go and travel. I mean, John Elway went to watch Justin Herbert, 4 different times in 2018. Just to go get an eye, like his own eyes on Justin Herbert. And the rumor was Drew Lock, not once.
Josh Allen. Yes, he did. He didn't. He never went to see Josh Allen.
Yeah, he didn't necessarily need to.
It's because it was the mind.
Yeah. He didn't necessarily need to. You already.
Wyoming.
Exactly. I mean, we got 3 feet of snow right now. It's a snowpocalypse. Get off my back here. No, it is something to monitor though. And I mean, he went up and watched Trey Lance the other day. If they want to move up to say number 3 and go get a Trey Lance or something like that, like whatever that potentially, I'm just throwing that out as a hypothetical, but get up above Atlanta, who's been rumored to really like Trey Lance, get up to what? Number 6, where Philadelphia picks, to get ahead of the Lions. So, or the Lions as well at number 7, to go and get a because it's.
I have it back.
The Lions are at 7. Carolina's at 8.
I was thinking,
But anyways, to get in front of the Lions, you get like a Justin Fields. If that's what potentially could happen, I'm not going to rule it out by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think they're going to go to number 3. I think that's going to be a little bit too rich for George Paton's blood, because he does value a lot of draft picks. To go from 9 to 6 to get in front of 2 teams that are quarterback hungry, kind of, from the sound of it, I think that he would be more willing to do that than to get in front of Atlanta at number 4. So that's something to keep an eye on. Well, and you bring up a very valid point in that discussion. We were talking about this before we went live, guys. Atlanta just restructured Matt Ryan's deal, locked him in for the last 3 years of his contract. He's essentially under contract through 2025, and it's like a $50 million dead.
Yeah. Last 3 years, 2024.
2024, sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
So, through 2024, 2025, he'd be an unrestricted free agent. And like next year's a $50 million cap hit. So why would you draft a quarterback at 4 when you can go and put for example, Kyle Pitts in that offense with a Julio Jones and a Calvin Ridley and everything like that? Bring that super chat back up. That the one from Mundungus here, $5 super. Thanks, Mundungus. You're entered into the super chat superstar mock draft. If I could speak, it would be great. Marcus Mariota or a first round quarterback or both, and if first round draft, who?
Mariota and Trey Lance.
Why not? Why Mariota and Trey Lance? And Trey Lance, or Mariota and Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields would translate as well. They would be able to work together.
I'd go Mariota and Lance. I think they're a little bit closer in terms of play style. And my big thing is that Mariota, I don't think he's a great quarterback by any means. I think he's serviceable backup. But people don't realize how smart he is and how loved he is by his teammates and how much work he puts in with other quarterbacks. I mean, when he got benched for Ryan Tannehill, he took it in stride and he worked and helped best he can Ryan Tannehill pick up that offense, which was Arthur Smith, who really turned around the career of Ryan Tannehill, and now he's working with another Ryan in Atlanta. And maybe they're trying to turn around that career and just capitalize on the final few years before deciding, hey, yeah, we got to go full rebuild. But anyways, I'd be looking at Marcus Mariota, and Trey Lance.
Yeah, I could see it too. I like Justin Fields. What did he run? 4.41 the other day at the was that the Ohio State Pro Day, or was that just him
I think it
working
was
out?
just a workout on
I think it was
his.
that's right, because he actually tweeted out after the fact. He said, "I got to let everybody know I'm going to be in the 4.3s by Pro Day." So yeah, he ran a 4.41 and a 4.43 or something like that at a workout the other day. So there's plenty of athleticism, plenty of speed to work with there. Can make every throw you want to. He's been a top quarterback in the draft for like 2 years. People have been saying that if it wasn't for Trevor Lawrence, he could potentially be the number 1 overall pick this year. Like, that's how good of a player this kid is. And to me, if he's an option at number 9, that's absolutely a guy that I would go and take. And there's no question about it. If Justin Fields is available at 9, I'm drafting him every single day and twice on draft day. Like, it's amazing to me that there's a possibility that could happen. Brian Greenfield jumping in here, $10 super chat. What are 3 Dove Valley deep divers possible steals of the draft at any position or round in this draft? Eric,
Garrett Wallow. You cannot answer this question without including Garrett Wallow, linebacker out of TCU. This dude had the TCU Pro Day was today. He killed it. He was like in the top 98 percentile for multiple things. He's a former safety that's still kind of learning linebacker, and so it leads to a little bit of issues against the run. But you want a guy who can help you in cover, and it's man, zone, whatever you want to do, deep zones, like whatever, he can handle it. Like, I'm a big Garrett Wallow fan. I have been for a long time. And yeah, he just barely missed my top 10. But yeah, I'm a big fan of him. He would definitely be one of mine.
Justin Hilliard's another one that I really like there as well. Linebacker position from Ohio State. One that Eric and I are both really high on because this Pittsburgh defense that was there last year was absolutely phenomenal. Damar Hamlin, the safety from Pittsburgh, is another.
He's in my top 10 safeties.
And yeah, he's that's another one I really like. Probably a guy that people are going to think a little bit more of as far as one of the top safeties are Darius Washington. I don't think he gets the hype that he necessarily deserves. Again, he was 5'8", 195-ish, maybe 200, like dead even. Little thick kind of a guy. If he was another 4 inches taller and weighed at 205, he would be the number 2 safety in this class, in my opinion. Honestly, and that's even probably over Trevon Moehrig, because Richie Grant's my guy. But over Trevon Moehrig, I'd probably have him as the number 2 safety in this class. There's just enough versatility there with him and the tackling ability, the aggressiveness that he has. I think that he's slept on a little bit, and there's some people that are really going to fall in love with him in the 3rd round, and they're going to get a hell of a player. They really are. That's another one of my guys. Sage Surratt as well, the wide receiver out of Wake Forest. This is I knew Eric.
You got to separate for the NFL. He can't.
I said that to trigger you because I know that you don't like Sage Surratt as much as I do. Big, long, physical body. He's a Tim Patrick guy that can't separate. If he can develop some better route running and be a guy that can kind of grow into that mold, that same Tim Patrick mold, they're identical body types, identical play styles. Patrick just developed as a route runner a lot better when he was at Utah, and then over the first 3 seasons that he's been in Denver. And Sage Surratt really reminds me of Tim Patrick. So that's a guy that I really like there.
So another guy, he's not really, you were talking about Darius Washington. I want to grab him. If you're getting Darius Washington, I'd rather just take my guy and Justin Houston coming in, nailing it with the $1.99 donation. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. He says, taking Elijah Molden. Well, I wouldn't put Elijah Molden at safety. He can do it. I'd use him as a nickel. And you can use him at safety and then move him down. He's very versatile. I think he's more nickel corner that can play on the boundary than he is safety. But if I'm taking a guy of that mold, I'm taking Elijah Molden over Darius Washington. We're talking about sleepers, so it was a little bit different. But yeah, if I'm looking at that, I'm looking his way. A couple other sleepers of mine. Looking at running back, there is a CJ Maribel, a running back out of Coastal Carolina. I really like what he can bring. And then Patrick Johnson, he's kind of this hybrid edge linebacker out of Tulane. I like him as well, and I think that he could be a solid fit for the Broncos. If he was just a couple inches longer, he'd be a fine edge, but he just doesn't have the length to hold up there.
Yeah. Jarrett Patterson actually is one that's kind of intriguing option to me out of Buffalo. Problem is he's small. He weighed in at 5'8", 195, ran 4.54, I believe, at the Buffalo Pro Day the other day. Philip Lindsay all over again, quite honestly. And to me, the burst, the vision, it's all the same. The lack of ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, I like him. Don't get me wrong, but Philip Lindsay 2.0. That's Jarrett Patterson. I thought he was a lot bigger than that. They watch him on tape. I mean, you can see he's small, but I didn't think he was 5'8", 190. I thought he was like 6 foot 200. But
he is
still,
not no Philip Lindsay clone.
Close enough.
He is not. It's
Close
about their
enough.
build. Philip Lindsay is built.
That's what I'm saying. Is the build wise, but there's some similarities there too, but not like I'm not saying a one-off clone like I do Richie Grant against Kareem Jackson, because that is a one-off clone in my opinion. But just the size factor of Jarrett Patterson versus Philip Lindsay, they're the same size of player. Mitch, jumping in here.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate
you for jumping in, and we appreciate the positive energy. We're trying not to be as big of downers as we were during the season. I mean, this is my time to shine, not Lance's, so Lance can leave and we'd still be fine. But it's my time to shine. It's draft time. I love it. I love this time of year, building the Broncos and all that stuff like that. And
I was gonna say I want to grab this super chat here from Dat Kid David. This is a new name to me, Dat Kid David. David, what's up, man? Appreciate you for joining the show. Thank you for the support. You're also entered into the super chat superstar mock draft. So make sure you reach out to us on Twitter, or even find me if you're on Facebook. Message us on YouTube after the fact. We do always come back and read all the comments to make sure that we're engaging with the audience even more than we possibly can. Reach out to us, get us your information and stuff like that. We'll try to get you on. Again, you're entered in at least for a chance to join the show and be our general manager, as we are the scouting department for you, and doing a full mock draft on the Draft Network, which is the site that we actually prefer to use. Ian C. Rader jumping in here. How's it going, guys? Ian, what's up, dude? Appreciate you for joining the show. Gary Smith as well joining in. Robert Caslow again. Keith Brugman on Facebook jumping in saying that he likes Erick Wilson, the linebacker, addressing our need and thus freeing up the draft pick needs. This has been a subject that's been beaten to death over the Mile High Huddle podcast, the Huddle Up Podcast Network, for the last few days. Probably stick away from that. But it is a possibility with the familiarity with George Paton there in Minnesota. So that's something to take a look at. Huge erection. Huge reaction. Is that, how do you say your name? $5 super chat. Been hearing Farley stock has fallen to the teens now due to durability concerns. Is pay a reach at 9? Eric?
Yes. I don't see the fit in it. He needs to have his hand in the dirt. And George Paton or Vic Fangio likes to have his rushers stand up out of a 3-point stance. I don't see it with pay. And again, I don't think that Denver is going to be picking at 9. And then Farley stock, it's rough. So I don't really want to talk about it because we don't have information about his durability or his injuries and stuff like that. Just things that I have heard is that there's doesn't seem as much of a concern, but that could be that could be misleading or whatever. So yeah, it's just hard to say. But yeah, as for pay, I'm not a fan of it. Just not the best of scheme fit.
Eric's. I'm hold on. Let me grab this really fast because they got me. I was not prepared for that last super chat name. Was definitely not prepared. Yes, you got me, Eric. Your reaction was hilarious. I am so sorry for that. We were in the family hour, gentlemen. Come on, guys. Let's get it together.
It's a weird time for us too with family hour. Like it's weird for us. Couple comments here. We'll come back to you, Michaela. Because there's a reason why. Mitch Man says Eric Trickel, the big bad bully from MHH. LOL, love you, man, and fan of Twitter feeds. Hey, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm definitely the big bad bully of it. And most of the guys will tell you that I'm really just a big old softy. I just love talking football, and I'm very passionate and opinionated. Richie says, please don't kill Nick. He seems like a nice guy. I make no promises.
Yeah, with Nick,
I'll try, but I'll make no promises on this one.
With Nick, it's just so hard because he's such a lovable character, but at the same time, you want to slap the hell out of him.
If
sometimes.
You really get to know, if you really get to know him, like I've known Nick for quite a few years. I absolutely love him. I consider him family. I mean, I consider most of the guys at MHH family. But yeah, I absolutely love Nick. I wouldn't actually kill him. I may hit him. I may slap him. But killing him, I have a daughter. I don't want to leave her, and that would probably get me caught. So,
yeah. Nick's all right. I met him in person a few months ago.
Yeah. No one cares.
It was fun though. It was fun. We sat down, talked shop for a little bit, talked some real life stuff, and just got to sit down and have a beer. I need to send him a 6-pack. He keeps asking me to send him some beer from down here because we had some local brewery stuff that you can get in cans here. It was actually really good stuff. An IPA, which I know is his thing, especially in the summertime. And he came in August, and it was hotter than the blazes of hell outside. So it was fun to get to know one of the guys. Erick's going to be coming down here May 28th, by the way. Erick is the date. May 28th. That is Memorial Day weekend next year. Me and Samantha are getting married, and Erick is going to participate in our wedding. So I cannot look forward to that any more than humanly possible.
The episode before that will also be the last of Dove Valley Deep Divers because Lance will never want to work with me again.
After you meet me, it's probably going to be you're like, no, get this guy away from me.
John, go ahead and pull up the one super chat with Locke.
I got it right here. Michaela Parker jumping in here on super chat. Does anyone still believe in Locke? Any chance he will be good?
No, Lance.
No. We're not going to do it tonight.
Lance isn't allowed to talk about Drew Locke. He's kind of on timeout for it because he can't mention it without going on a 10-minute tirade of all of his weaknesses that everybody's heard for so long. We appreciate the $5.99 or the $4.99 donation. It's always nice when you guys support us and everything. It's very humbling as well. There are still plenty of people who believe in Drew Locke. I believe that there are some in the Broncos. There's always a chance he can be good. It's just a matter of history doesn't suggest he will. It would take a big stride that we just don't see from quarterbacks. Maybe he proves a lot of us wrong, like Lance and ourselves, who doubt that he can make this jump. We'll see what happens this year if the Broncos keep him as a starter. But yeah, there's definitely people who believe he can be, and they're even as much as I doubt him, he still has some good traits that can do it. So let's move on. Well, no offense. It's just we're just kind of played out on talking about life a little bit.
I do want to just clarify one thing really fast. And yeah, I've laid out all the negatives and everything. I do think that he can be a very good quarterback if you have enough time to let him develop and grow and learn. How long are you willing to wait, though? That's the only thing that I want to ask you is how long are you willing to wait? Because if he does get 4 to 5 years worth of time to develop, yes, I think he can be a top 10 guy. But as of right now, let's just let it be. Brian jumping in here with a speak now or for
don't spoil my plans.
Let's bring that super chat back up, John. I'm not sure which one that was. Mr. Boggins jumping back in. Kellen Mond or Jamie Newman, sleeper quarterback? This is a good question, especially considering what just happened on All Things Quarterback, Tim Jenkins' YouTube channel, where he dropped Kellen Mond, the video breakdown of him saying that he is quarterback 5 in this draft class. I think that's a little rich for me. I prefer Jamie Newman over Kellen Mond, actually. I think there's a little bit more upside with Jamie Newman. Kellen Mond, you're going to see what you see is what you get. Very, very good processor. Does a good job running through his reads. I don't like the footwork with him. I think the arm angle's a little bit weird too. He's got enough athleticism, enough talent that he could be really good. But Jamie Newman, actually, I think it'd be so much easier to talk about him if he didn't opt out this last year after transferring to Georgia, because the receiver help that he had at Wake Forest was really, really bad. But the footwork is okay. Even after the elongated mesh point that they had in the RPO system that they had, those long play action fakes that they were doing at Wake Forest, the footwork kind of got back together. And when there's still some issues there, but the upside with him, the athleticism upside, the ability to throw with touch and anticipation with Jamie Newman is way better than Kellen Mond. And I'll take those tools over the processing ability of Kellen Mond, because I don't think Kellen Mond has a better arm or better athleticism than Jamie Newman. So the processing, sure, give me that. But at the same time, there's a little bit more tools and some more traits that you can work with Jamie Newman as a developmental guy.
So real quick, I want to say something. It's like, did you say the receivers that Jamie Newman had at Wake Forest were bad?
Yeah, I know. And Sage Surratt was there.
Sage Surratt. Okay. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yes, I know. But the deep shots that they were throwing to Sage Surratt, the thing is there with Surratt, he's that big body, go get the football kind of a guy. The quick timing routes that they were throwing, that's the problem, is because he can't create enough separation with the quick and timing routes. And I agree with you on that. However, I like the big body, the big go and get it mentality that he has as far as going and getting the ball at the high point. So that's what draws me to him. And and makes me lead that comparison to Tim Patrick. Now, Patrick developed that route running ability, and I think there's some athleticism that you can work with Sage Surratt to be able to get him to do that. So that's why I draw that there. But yes, you make a very valid point as far as the weapons not being great for Jamie Newman, because yes, Sage Surratt was there. I understand.
Well, they also had Kendall Hinton.
Yes, they did. That is very true.
But thank you, Brian, for the $5 donation. We appreciate that. Is anyone from MHH going to the draft this year? I really don't know. I know I'm not. I don't think Lance is. I know that Zach and Chad were looking at going last year before everything hit. So maybe they are again. I don't know.
Is the draft?
We haven't heard anything about it. We don't know if we're going to be credentialed to get in or anything like that. But it's a possibility. We just don't know for sure, I guess, would be the best way to put it.
So is the draft actually on? Are they going to have a localized draft this year? I don't know.
I'm not even sure on that.
I don't think they've even made that announcement yet. So it's going to be hard to tell. I do know that as we did last year, Brian, we are going to do the live stream. Everybody that's not going to go to the draft, so me for sure, because I can't afford it trying to buy a house right now. So can't afford the trip down. Eric, obviously, as well. Nick, Carl, maybe Luke. But I'm not sure if we're going to maybe try to get Bob back again, like we did last year. We are going to be hosting the draft live on the Huddle Up Podcast Network. All 3 days, every single selection. We're going to give our analysis on everything. So make sure you're prepared for that. More than likely is what it sounds like. We're not sure the details on all that yet, but we are doing a draft show again, at least from my understanding. So be prepared for that. It's going to be another really good and another fun time. That was so much fun to be able to do that with you guys. John, we've got another super sticker coming in here from Martin Arajo, I think is how you pronounce his name. Will you pull that up for us really fast, please? Let's see here. Dahane jumping in here with a $10 super. That's 2 entries into the Super Chat Superstar show for Dahane, $10 super. Better fit for Denver. Browning, Cox, or Jameen Davis? And did any of them compete for Alexander Johnson's spot, or will they all be competing against Sternod for Josie Jewell's spot? Eric, I'm going to let you take this one away really fast.
So Baron Browning, I think his best fit would be working over Alexander Johnson in that role and that spot that he does. Jabril Cox and Jameen Davis, I think, would be better next to him. Somebody who can Alexander Johnson is somebody who can take on blocks and help open up space for the smaller linebackers that Cox and Davis are, and let them work a little bit. So it just between the 3 that you name, Browning for Johnson, Cox or Davis for Josie Jewell, and they'll be able to compete with Justin Sternod while offering up a little bit more against the run than he will. Wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos end up taking one early. They wanted to move up for Patrick Queen a year ago. I've heard a lot of positive stuff about them liking this linebacker class. So if they move down to the late first round, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they target a linebacker. And just want to get this super chat in before we lose it. Gavin Hall with the $5 donation says Tariq Thompson is a young Will Parks out of San Diego State. I actually just wrote up my scouting report, my Finding Broncos scouting report. You guys can go check them up on milehighhuddle.com. I just wrote it up for Tariq Thompson. Not sure I'd agree with you that he's a young Will Parks. But I think he's a safe linebacker, a guy that at the very least you're getting a reliable defensive back that can come in and play, maybe not as a safety 3, but at the very least a safety 4 that can come in and play when you need to for a few reps and play special teams. He's got decent upside. I don't think he's got high upside. I like him, but I'm just not sure I would say young Will Parks. And then we got that super sticker ready, John.
Yeah, it looks like we're ready to go here. Martin jumping in here with that super sticker, a hot dog. Hey, dude, I had brats for dinner last night. They were absolutely delicious. Appreciate you for jumping in here and getting yourself an entry into the Super Chat Superstar mock draft. Again, next week, guys, we're going to take all of the super chats, throw them all together. If you have any increment of 5, so your first super chat is your first entry. After $5, you get another entry. Get them in. We only got a few more minutes before we're going to have to get out of here. But anyways, get your super chats in for last chance entries to get in to be our guest on the Super Chat Superstar mock draft that is appearing next Friday, guys. Next Friday on that. Let's see here. Jeremy Curry jumping in here. I'm going to grab this one. Thanks for the positivity, guys. I had to skip last night. Those guys were going to be hard to watch after Lindsay left. I hope we get more good news soon. From the sound of it, according to what I listened to Broncos Country Tonight this morning. I listen to it as a podcast every morning. But according to Benjamin Albright, the next 48 hours are going to be extremely fun for Broncos fans. Obviously, we got the Justin Simmons news. There are rumors aplenty right now about Kyle Fuller, the cornerback from Chicago, and Akeem Hicks, the interior defensive lineman from Chicago. Broncos potentially interested in trading for those guys. And if they both get released, the Broncos would be heavy players for those guys as well. So we'll see. We'll see how this actually kind of plays out. But yeah, to bring some positivity, have some fun with this conversation. Jeremy, I believe this is the first time I've seen your name in here as well. So we appreciate you for joining the show. Eric, do you have anything else for him?
No, I just gotta say it's hard for me not to be positive about this. The George Paton and the Broncos, they've shifted the. I mean, obviously, it would have been for some Broncos in there. They would have liked to seen Philip Lindsay stay, but there's also an understanding of it's a business. And as I talked about earlier, Philip Lindsay was kind of starting to show signs of decline. They got to remember that, but they've done a lot to change the culture in the Broncos with re-signing Shelby Harris, getting that extension done with Justin Simmons. They're making moves to sit there and improve the team. It's hard not to be excited, and it's hard not to be positive about it. It's nice to have fresh blood in charge of the Broncos and John Elway a little bit hands off and seeing what can happen of them. And then got a couple more super chats that we got to get to before we get out of here. And this is the last call for super chats, by the way. If you guys want a chance to enter the super chat superstar mock draft raffle for next week at this time. You guys got to get your super chats now. If you don't get it in this time and you still want to join in, or even if you don't win, we'll be doing another one in 2 weeks' time of doing that. So after next week, the following Friday, which I believe we are looking at having a special guest on to talk about cornerbacks, even though we kind of scheduled it before, signing Ronald Darby, before possibly getting Kyle Fuller. We scheduled it to talk about cornerbacks. We're still going to talk about them a little bit just in case, because hey, the Broncos, you don't want to draft by need, so the Broncos could still take a cornerback early. I doubt they will, but it's still worth it. It's a discussion still worth having.
Yeah, Glenn Hauser jumping in here with the $5 super chat. Glenn, you've got that first entry in. Actually, you're in here twice now. When did you guys get into evaluating players, and how did you get started? And what's your favorite part of the process? This is a fun question. So for me, I'll start this off, Eric, and I'll just do the cliff notes for me. I started off the first time that I was in high school. And I was watching some highlights and whatnot on a message board on ESPN.com. And it was the 2009 NFL draft, I believe is what it was. And that was when the Broncos selected Demaryius Thomas. So when the Broncos took Demaryius, 2009 or 2010, whatever year that was. So that's when they picked Demaryius Thomas. And I actually called him the next Megatron because he was the Georgia Tech kid, big athletic kind of a guy. And I did have him at that particular time over Des Bryant. And with Des Bryant, the head case issues that he had. So yeah, getting into it was Des Bryant. My favorite part of the process is sitting down and watching new guys. Erick will give me a guy to watch. I'll see someone else say, watch this guy. Finding somebody that I haven't seen yet and getting a better idea who they are. I like that part of the process. Erick, what about you?
So it's been a long time for me. It was a lot before that. And I remember just trying to watch old, just Google searching clips. I mean, it was so hard back when I first started. It was, let's see, I'm trying to think. I'm 29. So 16 years ago is when I got started. My dad was big into college football, so we'd have games recorded. I'd go back and watch over those. Just watching guys. I had no idea who was eligible. I didn't know all the rules back then. And everything, and just really got into it. I started getting really into it in the draft that we got, Noshawn Marino and Robert Ayers. I can't remember what year that was. That's when I really got into it, and just have expanded my football library and just constantly reading and learning about it and trying to improve myself as an evaluator and everything. When I started, was just for fun. I never thought that I'd get to where I am. My favorite part of the process so I have a weird process. My favorite part is after the season, I go through and I start off with like 2,000 players that are eligible for the draft. And I run through it, narrow them down, just all these different qualifiers and stuff like that. Narrow it down. And then after the season is over, going back and searching all those guys that I eliminated, and if they managed to do enough to make it back onto the list, and then watching the growth that they had from the year before to the year now to get them back onto my list. That's probably my favorite part of the process. And then as well as finding guys that out of nowhere, and this is going back a little bit to the sleeper one. A sleeper, I saw somebody ask about a sleeper offensive tackle. I think it was Mr. Boggins. I might be mistaken on that, but Tommy Doyle out of Miami, Ohio. I've really grown to like him, and he's another one who I just typed up his scouting report on.
Yeah. One that you had actually brought up to us that opted to go back into to return to school was Cordell Volson, the right tackle from North Dakota State. I'm not sure how you went back and found him, whether you just picked him up off of a list or something like that, or if you were watching Ravens or if you were watching Trey Lance or somebody like that. But Erick asked us about Cordell Volson and our group chat, and I took a look at him, and I was like, I swear to God, this guy looks like Garrett Bowles. It's crazy. So I put it out there. I was like, it looks like Garrett Bowles, and Erick's like, yeah, this is Garrett Bowles. Like they're the same kind of a player. So it was a fun conversation to have with me and him to be able to see the same kind of things and come to the same kind of a conclusion. So, and Glenn, again, great. Absolutely great question. We appreciate that from you guys. The more intellectual kind of questions we like to think about and dive in. This great stuff. Black Knight jumping in here. Last call again, guys. I asked Chad and Zach this yesterday. If we grab a quarterback in the first round, does that mean we clean house after the season? And does that make the Broncos an interesting head coach spot? I'm going to take this quickly. I don't necessarily think that it does. I don't think that it means that the Broncos clean house after the season, partially because I don't think that they're going to go with a quarterback, honestly. I mean, I'd love it if they did. I just don't think that they're going to. To make it an interesting head coach spot, if they moved on from they bring in a new quarterback, I mean, you could, but more often than not, you want to like a head coach is going to come in and he's going to want to get his guy. So to me, if you're going to go move on from Vic Fangio, you don't want to go quarterback. You want to do everything that you can to help bolster the roster to make him have some more success and then reassess the situation next year. If you're going to go into 2022 with a new head coach, you're going to say, hey, we're going to get your guy. Because that means if you're firing Vic Fangio, that means that probably Drew Lock and whatever veteran option they bring in, whether it's Sam Darnold, whoever it may be, didn't pan out. So that means that everyone's out the door. So you're resetting both the head coach and the quarterback position at the same time. So to me, not taking a quarterback this year makes more sense to make this a more interesting head coaching spot next year, if that makes sense. Eric, what do you think?
Well, I think that the odds of drafting a quarterback this year are a lot higher than you do.
Oh, no.
Especially with the moves that they've made. It's definitely rough because having that quarterback makes you an interesting head coaching spot, but being able to have your coach go and get the guy that they want is also enticing. So I don't know if it really makes it any more or less enticing. But as I said earlier, I think it really depends on what the Broncos do this year, if they clean house or not. I don't think it'll be signaled on if they get a quarterback or not. It's going to come down to what record do they make, and is it enough to keep Vic Fangio, or is it to a point where it's like, we're done, we got to move on.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just so hard because there's so many different facets to take a look at that at. And I mean, if you bring in that new quarterback, does it mean that Vic Fangio's for sure out? Does it mean that he is now sticking around a little bit longer because he went and got his guy? Or, I mean, where does that conversation go? And also bringing in a Justin Fields, a guy that you don't necessarily know what he's going to translate to, or even a Trey Lance, especially. Let's just go with a Trey Lance, that raw kind of a guy you bring in. Now you want to go and find a new head coach. Well, you've got this moldable ball of clay and Trey Lance with a bunch of tools that you can turn him into pretty much anything you want. Is that an enticing thing for an up-and-coming head coach that's trying to make his mark on the league, like a Shane Steichen or like a Brian Dable, Eric Bieniemy, someone like that? Is that enticing to them to have to work with the quarterback that's incredibly raw and needs some time to develop, and you're trying to make your mark? Some guys only get one opportunity. This is that Eminem song, Lose Yourself. You get one shot, one opportunity, try everything you can to make it right. So if you are coming into a situation with a highly drafted quarterback that you don't know anything about and you don't know necessarily how you're going to be able to use him, does that make it an enticing spot for you? I don't know. So Very interesting conversation. We'll have to revisit that one of these days, Eric. We'll have to bookmark that conversation because we're going to have to get out of here, guys. We're at an hour and 8 minutes, almost hour and 10 minutes. So we'll have to get out of here for tonight, guys. Thank you all for joining the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. Super Chat Superstar mock draft next week. Also, so everybody that came in and super chat that donated tonight has an entry in. Every multiple of 5, you get an extra donation or an extra opportunity as well. So be on the lookout for that. We'll reach out to you privately to know to let you know if you won or not. So be paying attention for that. But anyways, guys. Matters of business here. You guys can find me at Sanderson MHH, for Eric at Erick Trickel. Guys, John, I'm going to take control here. Also, while you guys are at it, on Twitter at DVDD_pod. It's the easiest way to keep in touch with what's going on with the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. We'll throw some takes out there, not very often, but if we do, they're really, really good stuff. Also, again, at Mile High Huddle. That's the mother account. It's the easiest way to keep up with what's going on milehighhuddle.com. News articles, opinion articles, breaking news and analysis, film breakdowns. Occasionally we'll get some stuff like that going on from all of your favorite Mile High Huddle personalities, including myself and Eric, Nick and Carl of the Building and Broncos crew, Luke Patterson, Chad, Zach, Trevor, the whole gang at milehighhuddle.com. You can find that at Mile High Huddle. It's the easiest way to keep up with what's going on with us and also the Huddle Up Podcast Network. Facebook supporters. Where's that at? Here it is. Facebook recorders. Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Click the blue Become a Supporter button for Eric's new show, The Trickel Zone, where he's breaking down his top 10 picks, or his top 10 players at every position, top 5 depending on the position. That's what, Saturday at noon, Eric?
Saturday at noon. And up until the draft, it's going to be top 10 positions. After that, we got a lot of stuff planned. I'm going to be doing live breakdowns of players, stuff like that, and just a bunch of other stuff. So now is the time to become a Facebook supporter on it and just get access to all this content that we have that's coming out that's exclusive to being a Facebook supporter, as well as a lot of content that's on its way out. I know Lance is talking about doing a show. I know Nick is talking about doing a show. I know there's a bunch of more stuff that's in the works that we're talking about doing. So now is the time to get it and become a supporter.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'll be talking about running backs, by the way.
Yeah. So you got the Trickel Zone on Saturday. On Sunday, you'll get Kelberman's Corners with hot takes that hold water. Very fun show. Zach and Kim, they do a great job of running through that and everything. So again, Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Click the blue Become a Supporter button. It's like $5 a month, premium content. And again, easiest way to keep up with what's going on with Mile High Huddle. Got to give a shout out really quick one more time. Manscaped.com, they're our presenting sponsor. Manscaped.com, use the promo code HUDDLE for 20% off and free shipping on anything at manscaped.com. Guys, if you guys are in a financial position and able to do so, head on over to huddleuppod.com. Get yourself a hat, get yourself a t-shirt, which I definitely need a new one. This one's starting to fade a little bit. And I'm getting some comments about that in the chat. We're gonna have to address this. Anyways, get yourself a hat, get yourself a t-shirt. There's something for everybody. There's a face mask, there's a coffee cup, there's a hoodie, something for the guys, something for the gals. You can get a onesie for your baby if you want to. It's a great way to support the show. But guys, if you're not financially able to do so in these hard times right now, subscribe. Everywhere you guys are getting this podcast, especially on YouTube, subscribe to Mile High Huddle. Doesn't matter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Apple Podcast. Subscribe, like every video and every podcast episode you guys get. And if you love it, share it. Give us a 5-star review, whatever you can to get us out in front of as many Broncos fans as humanly possible. It's the easiest and most organic way that you guys can support Mile High Huddle and the Huddle Up Podcast Network. Now, Eric, that should wrap it up for us. But before we get out of here, any last words? And you got an update on Kyle Fuller yet?
No update on Kyle Fuller. I'm not sure Denver will trade for him at this point. I think that they're just kind of calling the Bears bluff. But I do want to point this out. Is Gary? I'm actually related to him. He's like my 4th cousin, 80 times. I don't know how it is, but somewhere in the family, there was a big old fight, and half of it decided to split off and switch their name to EL instead of LE, which I come from that side of it. But yeah, he's my cousin somewhere down the line, and it's probably one of the best things is when people recognize the name as with the NASCAR driver of the family.
Yeah, Dick Trickel. Let's just put that one out there so everybody can hear that if they're listening to the podcast after the fact. Dick Trickel and Erick Trickel are cousins. Let's see here. Anything else before we get out of here? I think that's pretty much gonna do it. So again, sorry, Bear Truth. Wait. Dylan coming in here dropping flames. Bear Truth dropped a new song. I'm out. I'm out. Y'all stay safe. No, I'm just playing. Eric, what's up?
One more thing is, Richie, if you're still in the comments, you asked me a question about the lightsaber, go ahead and tweet it at me.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
I'll get to it.
Yep. Tweet at us at Sanderson MHH, for Eric at Erick Trickel. That's going to do it for us tonight, guys. I have business to attend to now. I need some new music in my life. You guys stay safe. Take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. Mile High Insiders tomorrow. We'll see you guys next.
And Trickle Zone at noon.
Yeah, Trickle Zone at noon as well. Trickle Zone at noon. Mile High Insiders tomorrow at 6. We'll see you guys same time, same place next Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Y'all stay safe. Take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, go Broncos.